Alright, what is good, ladies and gentlemen, is the Master Ranker back in with another ranking, and today we're doing a ranking for all of the Madagascar characters. This includes the Madagascar trilogy as well as the penguins. It does not include anyone from the special, so maybe at some point in the future I'll update this for like any new characters that were in the Madagascar specials, like the Valentine's Day one and the Christmas one, but that's for another day, I guess. So yeah, anyway, let us just begin, starting off with Agent Classified. I would give him probably, I'll go C tier. He was fine. He has like a few, there's a few good moments between like him going back and forth with like Skipper. They have some like they have like a good rivalry thing going on. That was entertaining at times, but he is not the most interesting character, I'll say. So just C tier. He just kind of like comes up with plans to try to defeat Dave, and they just don't end up working out, whether because it's like he doesn't plan well enough, or because Skipper like and the rest of the penguins get in his way, I guess. So he's C tier. I would say he was fine. C for Classified, I would say. Alex, I will give him A tier. I thought that he was probably the best in the first film. I did like his plot, his arc basically of trying to, like, needing to control his animal instincts. I thought that was good in the first film. The second film, where him just like kind of trying to, like, him meeting his parents and then him not being who his parents, like him giving like a false perception to his parents of like who he was back in New York and stuff, and then him having to like prove himself to his parents and his, like, the tribe and stuff. It's not as good as the first film. I kind of liked it in the first film more. Felt like more deep and emotional with like the whole like him wanting to protect Marty and like not wanting to eat him or like anyone else. So I thought that it was better than the first film. The third film, he doesn't really have an arc, to be honest, but I do like the parallels with him and Vitaly, where it's like he ends up helping Vitaly through his fear of not wanting to, like, Vitaly's afraid, and so Alex is like the character growth now at this point. He helps him like work through the fears that he has, because Alex went through something similar where he was also afraid, and he was telling Vitaly like, well, you're just gonna lock yourself up here or something like that. He said something along those lines. So we'll go A for Alex, I would say. This is meant to be like the rest of the penguins from the Penguins of Madagascar film, like just any side penguins that just weren't too important, so just decent here. I'm gonna give them Madame Chantal Dubois, I'm pretty sure that's her name. I would give her A tier. I think ultimately, I think that she's probably my favorite. We'll do side at the end. I think that ultimately she is my favorite villain in the Madagascar franchise. It's close between her and Dave, but I do ultimately like her kind of like ruthless, serious nature a bit more than Dave's kind of a bit more like on the goofier side, but I do think that Dave is still very good. But yeah, Dubois, just like she's ruthless hunter that's going after the animals, specifically Alex, in order to get his head. She's also got like some funny moments as well. Like even if she is a serious character, it's like she does have like some pretty good, entertaining, funny bits. Like when she, like the prison scene, I thought that was good. When she like actually tranquilizes Alex and she's like about to saw his head off, I thought that was funny, like her the way she said it. So yeah, A tier for her. I would say, okay, this is the circus owner that the monkeys bought the circus off of. He's not really a character, so just use up here. It's one of the, this is meant to like represent, I guess, all the police officers that Dubois ends up dealing with, and I would give it, I'll go C tier just because they have some good moments, like the opposing police officers that are trying to stop Dubois. They have some good moments here and there. Even this scene, like I'm not going to do the accent, but they're like, now you're in big trouble. I thought that was a good scene. So yeah, good opposition, I guess, to Dubois, so C tier. This is Corporal. I don't really care for him. I didn't really care for pretty much any of the Northwind characters except for like Classified. Classified was a bit better than the rest, but pretty much all of them, they're just, well, I don't know, maybe we'll rate some of them a bit higher, but Corporal I just did not care for. His whole thing was that he loves cute things, and when the penguins were getting kidnapped, it's like he was really worried. He stressed Dave a bit, but yeah, he's just not the most entertaining, I would say. So the cricket from the Penguins movie, I don't even know why I included him. He's just like, he's in two scenes basically where one of them he's a test subject for Dave in order to like test out his Medusa serum on. So Dave himself, I'll go A tier. I'll go A tier. I will say that he is, yeah, definitely another very good villain in the franchise. I really like the whole thing of like his motivation is not even that it's like, I love the scene where it's like not private. Skipper says like, you turn us into monsters, and then what? You really think that's gonna make everyone love you? And he's like, no, but they'll despise you, and I'm sure gonna love that. I thought that I like his motivation of just revenge. Even after he gets his revenge, he's like, he says, what does he say? He says, it's like, I still feel like even after all this, I still feel empty inside. It's almost as if all this time, all I needed was more revenge. And then he starts planning out how he's gonna turn like puppies, pandas, bunnies into mutants as well. So I thought that was good. Yeah, he's entertaining. I like he's very flexible and stuff. So I like the moments where he utilizes that and all. And so yeah, solid A tier. I'll give him. This is the reporter, the documentary reporter in the Penguins movie. I think he's voiced by some famous I forgot his name, like Vernal something maybe, I don't remember, but he is some dude that's like pretty famous. He's voiced by a dude that like does documentaries, and he's famous for like voicing documentaries, so I don't really care for him. D/up here. This is Eva. I don't really care for her as well, just another Northwind character that is just not that interesting. The whole thing with her was that Kowalski just had a crush on her, and that was it basically. So she's like the other analyst of the Northwind team, just not that interesting. This is Alex's mother, and I don't really care for her too much, to be honest. She's like, I guess Alex like reunites with her and his father, but then I do think that it's a bit more interesting with the father, who like actually gets upset and ultimately ends up saving Alex. I think that that's a bit more interesting than the mom, where basically she's just like around for the events of the film, but it feels like she herself doesn't really do anything too important. So this is the Fusa. I did not like them at all. They were very boring. They just served as they were like plot devices. They weren't characters. They were just like plot devices in order to create a threat for the lemurs, I guess, and to have a need for the lemurs to want to befriend like Alex and the rest of his friends and stuff. So just D/up here. I didn't care for them at all. This is meant to be the dogs from the circus. I would give them, I'll go C tier because they had some good moments here and there, but they're not really that important of characters, so just C tier. This is Gia. I will give Gia, I'll go A tier. I think that she was very good. I liked the chemistry, I guess, that she had with Alex. I also just like the whole thing of like the circus stick together, so anytime it's like you have Gia with Vitaly or Stefano, I think that those moments are very good. And her ultimately, like she feels betrayed by like Alex and the rest of them, like they're them lying about being part of the circus, but then ultimately they do come back to rescue Alex and the rest of them, so I thought that was good. The trapeze scenes with her and Alex I thought were also very fun, so just solid A tier. And yeah, Gloria, I will give her probably, I will say, I don't know, her and Melman is like are on the same level. I would say I'd go like, honestly, C tier. They don't really do anything too important throughout any of the films. It's like in the first film, they're just going along with Alex in order to help rescue Marty. After that, it's like they kind of open up to the wild a bit. And yeah, in the second film, she likes Moto, but then she realizes that he's got like no substance to him, and that he's only into her because she's big, I guess. So, and she falls in love with Melman, which it was fine, I guess. And then in the last film, she just teaches Melman how to dance. So I just don't really care for her, honestly, for how important of a character for how prominent of a character she and Melman is. Honestly, I just don't really care for either of them as much as I feel like I should. So anyway, this is the tour guide dude from the second film. I don't care for him, just D/up here. He and like the rest of the humans, they just kind of, I don't know, like he himself, he was the more reasonable one, where he was like, you can't eat a lion, and he was also like, oh, we should stay on the trail and stuff. Like he was like the voice of reason of the group, but even so, I just don't really care for him too much, so D/up here. The horses from the circus, the dogs are a bit more memorable than the horses. The horses themselves are not really memorable at all, I would say, so just D/up here. I didn't include the elephants, but the elephants would also probably get D/up here because they don't really do anything either. Like they do stuff in the actual performances, but like their character-wise, they don't really do much. So King Julian, I will give him, I'll go S tier, honestly. He was great. I don't know if I'm doing this in media context or overall context, but I will say, I think we'll do like just in media context. I'll say, yeah, I would give King Julian S tier. I think in the first film, he's honestly the weakest, but I do think that in every other film, the second film and the third film, I think that he has a lot of great funny bits. And yeah, a lot of good moments with him, just the way he speaks. I think Sacha Baron Cohen does a great job voicing the character, and just he's got this like iconic accent to him that I think is just very fun, and so just a solid S tier for King Julian, I would say. Kowalski, I'll go C tier. I think all the penguins are good, but I think that Kowalski is probably, I don't know if he's my least favorite one, but he's got like good moments. He's the one that like I guess interacts the most with Skipper, I will say, where it's like he's telling Skipper like the analysis is that he comes up with for any situation. So I'll go with solid C tier. I think in the Penguins movie, honestly, it felt a bit more like he did a bit more in the other films than the Penguins film, surprisingly. But yeah, let's go C tier for him. This is meant to be like a representation of all the lemurs. I don't really care for the lemurs. They weren't that interesting. Like they partied and stuff. They were scared of the Fusa. That was it basically. So yeah. Makunga, I'm going to go D/up tier. I didn't really like him as a villain. He is just, like, the only thing that he actually does that's impactful was he tricks Alex into thinking that he's going into a dance battle instead of an actual, like, fight. But besides that, he tries to, earlier in the film, he tries to defeat Zuba. Zuba ends up managing to defeat him and keeping his role as, like, leader of the Pride. And then after, Zuba himself has to step down because he doesn't want to banish Alex, and so from there, Zuba not Zuba, sorry, Makunga, he ends up taking up the role of like alpha lion, I guess, and so he banishes Alex, and I guess, well, Zuba kind of banished himself, I guess, so, and then, yeah, and the watering hole runs out of water, and he doesn't have a plan for it, so he's like, well, we'll have to fight for the water, and it's like, this man is like clearly not fit to be leader, he's not really doing it, like he just ends up he does like one manipulation that gets him into like power, but he doesn't do anything with the power, he just like ends up kind of, he gets, I think he tricks Zuba into going to save Alex, but it's just for the sake of like, he tells Zuba about like the fact that like Alex is in trouble, which I guess does lead to Zuba saving Alex, and then from there they fix the watering hole, so I guess that's somewhat, he's a bit responsible for returning the watering hole in a way, but even so, I don't care for him, he's here. Next is Marty. Marty, I would give him, we'll go B tier. He has good moments. I don't care for him in the second film. I think in the first film was good, like he wants to see the world, the wild and stuff, so I thought that was good. The second film, where it's like he feels like he's not that unique, didn't care for as much, but again, I didn't really care for a lot of the actual character plots in the second film. And the third film, he just kind of learns that he wants to shoot himself out of cannon, like for that he wants to be like a cannoneer for his act in the circus and stuff. He's got some good moments, some good lines and stuff. He's got like good interactions with Alex, I would say, and so we'll go B tier. Not my favorite character, but definitely a good one still. Next is, okay, this is one of the monkeys. I'll group them both together because I don't really, like, they're both about the same level. I will give the monkeys, honestly, also B tier. I think they have like, they are not the most prominent characters, but they are still very fun. Anytime they show up, they like are usually interacting with the penguins and stuff, talking about like labor laws or whatever with the rest of the monkeys, and so it's just always entertaining. Like they're communicating between, like, I think this one specifically, I think this is Phil, this one is like Mason, I'm pretty sure his name is, so he's the one that like communicates between like the rest of the monkeys and the other characters, and so at least like fun games of telephone and stuff, which are pretty entertaining, so I'll go B tier for the monkeys. Maurice, I will go C tier. I don't really, like, I guess the role he serves is good in the first film, like where he is skeptical of Alex, like because he is concerned that like if the Fuso are afraid of him, maybe we should be too, so I don't really, he's definitely like the voice of reason to balance out like King Julian's like crazy antics and stuff, but I do think that it does mean that he's a bit boring, but I will say I do like the fact that he does, like, even if he is like the one that's like kind of the straight man, I guess, he does sometimes lean into Julian's antics, like the whole scene where it's like where Julian's supposed to like pull the lever at the Monte Carlo casino, and then Maurice is telling him like, no, not yet, and stuff. And then it's like now, and then Julian's like, I'm a bit busy now, and then he shouts at him to just pull the switch, and then they do, and they start pulling it back and forth, but then they just start dancing, the both of them. So even if he is like kind of like meant to give a bit of pushback to King Julian, I still appreciate the fact that like he still like kind of goes along with Julian for like his antics sometimes. So I'll go C tier. Like he's fine, I would say. Melman, I would also just give him the same tier as Gloria. I just don't really care for. They're my two least favorite from like the four main cast of like Alex, Marty, and those two. So yeah, the same kind of criticism as I gave Gloria. He doesn't do much in like, he's fine in the first film. The second film, I don't really like his plot of like, he ends specifically, he thinks he's dying and stuff, so he ends up confessing his love to Gloria and stuff, and then the third film he doesn't know how to dance and stuff, so just C tier. They're fine, but not really one of my favorites. Mort, I will give him, I'm going to go D/F here. I just don't really care for him at all, to be honest. He is, yeah, I don't know, he's like he feels like an important kind of a bit of an iconic character to this franchise, but even so, he never really does anything that I really care for. Like the first scene where it's like he is introduced, where we see him, that he's like, where he's the first one to like kind of meet Alex and the rest of the animals, and so I didn't care for that scene. Like in the second film, where the whole thing is that he's just trying to get back to King Julian and stuff, and the shark is chasing after him. In the third film, he's with them, I guess, and he does kind of, I think at some point he like tries to get Dubois to fall off of the rope that she's hanging onto on Melman's neck, and that feels like honestly the most important thing that he does in the franchise. But yeah, I don't care for him at all, really. So D/F here. Moto, I don't really care for him. The whole joke is that he just, yeah, I don't know, he's big, he's chunky, he likes women that are big and chunky as well, and so yeah, the whole thing is that he's just like shallow, and so he likes Gloria, but he doesn't have a good reason to, and then it leads to like basically Gloria realizing that she likes Melman and stuff. So I just don't really care for him. So D/F here. This is the grandma, the old lady, whatever you want to call her. I will give her C tier. She's pretty memorable, I guess. Not really, like, she fights Alex, I guess, and she fights him in the first and the second film. In the second film specifically, she kind of gets a bunch of New Yorkers to like join her in the wilds to I guess I know survived because instead of just like for some reason going back on the trail that they were on to get back to like the reserve or whatever, like the place that the rest of the humans are at. So she's fine. I guess her role was all right, but not really one of my favorites. So just C tier. Private, I would give him. I think he was good in pretty. I'll just go like Kowalski. Honestly, he was fine. I think the Penguins work well collectively as a group. I don't think they really work as well on their own. I did even say in the Penguins movie where I think for the worst category I did say just the moments where it's like Private is off on his own, not with the rest of the Penguins, and when the Penguins like are not with Private and stuff. I think that they work well as like a collective group functioning together, but when they are just like separate individual characters, they're not as good, I would say. So just another C tier, I would say. Yeah, this is Rico. Rico, I would give him just pretty much again with the rest of the Penguins. I think that he is, him specifically is like the demolition expert, kind of supplying them with like the tools they need in order for whatever operation that they have. So it just same thing. Like he's not really great on his own, but he's good like with the collective of the group, I guess. So this is Short Fuse. I will give him. I'll go C tier just because he's voiced by Ken Jeong. I like Ken Jeong, and he has the only scene I really remember of him was where he says like. I tried to arrest them, but they have flippers and I have flippers, so it's flipping useless. I thought that was a good line delivery. So C tier for that reason, like basically for just Ken Jeong's voice acting, but besides that, just yeah. Skipper, I will give him A tier. I think out of all the Penguins, he is definitely the most, he's the most fun one. He has like the best lines and stuff here and there. He is the leader of them. And I think he's definitely elevated, like with the rest of the Penguins, he probably shoots up to an S tier. I think the Penguins, like as a whole collective group, they would be either a high A tier or an S tier. But I think just individually, they are kind of brought down, like because they work so well together as like a team. So, but Skipper on his own, I still think is good. Definitely, he is very entertaining. He's the one that like has most of the lines for the Penguin groups whenever they're interacting with anyone. So, definite A tier, I would give him. So yeah. Sonia the bear, she doesn't have any lines. She just, Julian has a crush on her, and so he kind of, he just goes along with her, and they drive a motorcycle through Venezia and the Vatican City, or not Venezia, but I think the Vatican City. So yeah, I don't care for too much really. Stefano, I would give him probably B tier. I think that he is about on the same level as. I give him B tier. Honestly, I'll give him B tier. I think that he was really good. I like the circus characters. I think that they were great additions in the third movie. I think Stefano is, he's good. He's like the one that like basically explains. He's like the one that welcomes the rest of the animals to the circus, and then he like has good interactions with the Eddie characters. He has like good reactions and stuff. He's the one that ends up explaining Alex like the whole backstory of the circus and stuff. And so, him and like Marty, I think they have like a, they're good together as well. And yeah, just overall, I think that he's another fun character similar to Gia and also soon we'll get to Vitaly. So this is meant to be a representation of, I guess, all the giraffes that Melvin interacted with from the second movie. Don't care for them. Just any like collective. This is anytime it's like I say like, oh, this is meant to represent like all these kind of characters. It usually means I just don't really care for those type of characters. So like the penguins or the giraffes or like the horses or something like that. So this is Tsitsi. I don't really care for him. He just was kind of. He's not a character really, just again kind of a plot. I always use this term plot device. Plot device means like something that is not like necessary for the plot to move forward, right? I want to make sure that I'm like using this term because I do use a lot. Plot device meaning what's here? What's your plot device? Your plot device is any technique, object, character, or event introduced into a story to advance the narrative, overcome an obstacle, or to resolve a tricky situation. So yeah, he is a plot device basically where you just kind of introduced in order to have Alex lose the whole trial and get himself banished from the Pride. So not really an important character. Is meant to represent all the New Yorker tourists, I guess, in the second film. I don't really care for them. These up here, Vitaly, I will give him a solid. Another A tier. I think it was really great, the whole thing of like him. He used to have passion for the circus, but then he ended up like getting caught on fire because of like this trick that he was like lubricating himself with oil, but then he went through this ring that was lit on fire, so he burned himself, and so he is now afraid to like perform. But then the whole thing of like him, I think it's one of the best scenes of the third film is like when he's actually like going through when he does finally like go through the ring once again, and so I think that it was very good, like that whole aspect to his character. He's like very angry and stuff. He's not willing to help out the animals at the start, and he's like very yeah, like he's just not willing to help out like Alex and the rest of his friends. And by the end of the film, he does like say like circus stick together, and he's like willing to. He goes back to save them and stuff. So I do like the character growth on his part. He's voiced by Bryan Cranston, surprisingly, which I am definitely. I guess Bryan Cranston is a good voice actor because I don't hear Bryan Cranston at all in the character. So anyway, the zebras from the second film, once again, just a collective kind of a bunch of characters that I just don't really get. Representation of a bunch of characters that are just not that important. So the zebras from the second film, I don't care for them. They've helped to advance the plot of like the whole Marty's whole thing of like not feeling special, but yeah, I don't care for them. And then finally Zuba, I will give him, what I give here, I'll give him like, I'll go C tier. He was fine. I think he's a bit better than Alex's mom because he actually does interact with Alex a bit more, where it's like, I do like the fact that he himself like is disappointed in Alex, but then ultimately he does go to save him, and then it's like the whole dance sequence at the end where Alex and him both dance kind of in order to save themselves from like getting killed by the New Yorkers and stuff like that. That was good. So yeah, we'll just go C tier for it. And we'll do side style, I guess. We'll do side style for, should we do for the C tiers? We could try, although I don't really want to. Again, I'm trying, like, these rankings, I didn't spend that much time, like, if it's like a really long one, like for all the JoJo characters, I think for the C tiers, even if there were more than 2 rows, I did end up doing it just because of the fact that, like, JoJo took a lot longer to get through than Madagascar, where Madagascar was like, I finished watching all the movies in like less than a week, so that is, okay, so I'm starting to mark, so, but I do want, I can't close the windows now, I can't stop the recording on it because this is a ranking recording, so we are just going to try to, okay, this is going to get annoying, fine, so, I could get up in the middle to like close my window, but I just don't want to because, fine, we're going to stop the recording, just give me a second here. Right, okay, we are back, close the windows. If you couldn't tell by now, by the way, I'm definitely not a dog person, I'm much more of a cat person. They're just a lot quieter, a lot less energetic and stuff. So yeah, anyway, let us just continue. We will do side style for the B tiers and the A tiers. So let's see here, we have, yeah, I think Marty is probably, actually do I like Marty better than the monkeys? I would say, I do like the monkeys' role a bit more than Marty's in the films, but I think Marty has a bit more personality and stuff, so I will give it to, I'm not sure this actually, do I like the monkeys better or Marty? We'll give it to Marty, we'll say Marty as a character. I think the monkeys a bit more as like a collective I like better, but I think that specifically just Marty, I think is, wow, the glare in the, okay, for some reason the glare was really bad. They're still barking, I closed my windows, but I still hear them, so we're gonna try to get through this quickly. Yeah, King Julian S tier, and let's see here for the A tiers. I would say my least favorite was probably, we will go with, I think, Vitali, and then we will say Gia, and then Stefano, then Skipper. Actually, no, Dave, we're gonna put probably, I'm not sure. Well, yeah, we'll put Dave above the circus characters, then we'll go Skipper, Dubois, yeah, ultimately my favorite villain. I would say that we'll put her below Skipper, and I think Dubois was better than Dave. And I think, I'll say I might put Stefano above Dubois, I would say maybe. Gia, no, not as, yeah, I would say that, yeah, okay, we'll go with that. And then Alex, where would I put Alex, I think? Alex is, I think I like Skipper better than Alex, I would say, and I think Alex is better than Stefano. Yeah, okay, I think this is good. I think this is where we're going to leave the ranking. And so, yeah, that is pretty much all there is to it. So if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video first, anime, manga, web series, anything that you want me to review or rank or compare rankings, it does not have to be media related. It can be anything. Leave it in the comments and I'll maybe possibly check it out. With that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.